Hi, this is Matthew. Going to do another Rolling Stones album. It'll be Aftermath, but I'm going to talk about the album in between. There was also a hits collection I'll mention briefly, and a live album in the U.S. briefly. We'll start with December's Children, which is an overflow album for here in the U.S. for things that hadn't been used, and some new material as well. So it's album number, yeah. So we have that album here, and then, yeah. And we have we open with She Said Yeah, which is Sonny Bono track or so. Blues cover, cover. Talking About You, a Chuck Berry song. You Better Move On, Arthur Alexander. And Look What You've Done, Muddy Waters. Great stuff. The Singer Not the Song, which was it was the B-side of Get Off of My Cloud, which we'll get to. I'm sure I think I already did, but they included that B-side here. Route 66 got included. Inside 2, we have Get Off of My Cloud in mono, which I've never heard it. I missed the stereo version, just like Satisfaction, but I haven't heard those in years. But they're not included, just the mono, unfortunately. I'm Free, which gets put on here finally, which is a good track. As years go by, that great song. Only ever heard it in mono. And Keith, their song, which Remain Faithful, did also, which I've heard that once or twice. This is the one I've always heard. And then we just have Gotta Get Away, which is one of theirs. That finally gets included. Blue Turns to Gray, which had not been seen anywhere that I know about, unless it was a B-side. Then I'm Moving On, so it's just Hank Snow song, which was that was off the Got Live album, the EP. So yeah, we did have a song from that again. And then we'll I'm going to jump to quickly show that High Tides and Green Grass, which is the hits collection. Also got put out. Well, actually, that got put out in both countries. I'll hit that really briefly, and we'll hit the live album that came out here. Also, we have it's the U.S. version first. So you'll see a few different surprises here. There's open with Have You Seen Your Mother Baby Standing in the Shadow, which was a single, which we don't have, which is bizarre. It's a more trippier, psychedelic-y type tune, which is really good. Then we jump to Paint It Black, still in mono. Unfortunately, I want the stereo version, guys, because it's so good. It's All Over Now, which is in stereo. The Last Time is still the mono version, which I've only ever heard it in mono. I don't know that it had another one. Heart of Stone, the stereo version, which they did not have before, and we did. Not Fade Away, of course, the original mono version, of course. Then we jump to 7 was Come On, the original, which was a Chuck Berry song, which we still have not seen in this country up to this point. Or I Want to Be Your Man, that isn't on here either, but this track finally makes some kind of an official album release in the UK. Then side 2, over there, I Can't Get No Satisfaction, opens that up. Still mono, unfortunately. I wish that we had the stereo one, but we do not on either version. Get Off of My Cloud is next, the same version. As Years Go By gets put on here. So at least they get it on some version. We had it on another album. We get it, I think, twice. 19th Nervous Breakdown again. Or for here on this one. Lady Jane, the stereo one, of course. Time is on my side. The stereo version of the one with the guitar in it. So that finally sees a release, finally. Which means we also get this version. Yay! Finally! Little Red Rooster, that is the same mono version that we got first, and now they have an album instead of a single. So you would have to have gotten this hits package to get a few new songs that you didn't already have. Our version has a few moving aroundings of. We opened with, on side 1, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. And then the last time, as tears go by again, we get that. You could get it twice if you missed it the first go round. Time's on my side. The actual guitar version now in stereo, not the mono, the actual stereo version. So if you were looking for that one, finally you would have it on this version. It's All Over Now, which again was stereo for the first time that I can think of. Tell Me You're Coming Back, that original version from way, way back when, gets put on here again. And this, then we jumped to side 2 because we only have 12 tracks, because that was the thing back then. Then it goes to 19th Nervous Breakdown. Heart of Stone again. Get Off of My Cloud. Not Fade Away. Good Times, Bad Times, which had been on another thing previously. Play With Fire, which is great, still in mono. Unfortunately, no stereo version yet of that one. Our People, which I'm not going to bother with that just because it's all just from other albums. Yeah, cool album. We get the guitar version of Time's on My Side, but we don't get Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby Standing in the Shadows yet, which is sad because that's a cool, interesting track. But we don't get that one. Then I'll jump to the live album called Live If You Want It, not to be confused with the British EP one. This is a full 12-track live album from various venues. A few things were studioed. They wanted it to be on from the Royal Albert Hall, but fans like to riot and drop the stage at this point. And yeah, they did that to Mick Jagger, and they basically had to delay the concert. There was a lot of controversy with their stuff at that point, so they went with just a few other performances. Then they took 2 studio tracks and put crowds on them, which never quite works to me, because you can tell what's going on. But that's what they did. They put it out over here. And called it Live If You Want It, not to be confused with the EP version. They did not put this out in the UK. They did in Scandinavia, and I think Germany got this one. It was pretty coveted by collectors at one point, just because it was harder to get a hold of in Europe, at least. And so then this one has Under My Thumb, Get Off of My Cloud, Lady Jane, Not Fade Away, I've Been Loving You Too Long, that Otis Redding's tune. I think that was a studio track. Fortune Teller was also a studio track, if I remember correctly. Side 2 then contained The Last Time, 19th Nervous Breakdown, Time Is On My Side, I'm Alright, Have You Seen Your Mother, Baby Sitting in the Shadow? We get a live version, but not the studio version, so at least you could get it in some form. These are very crudely recorded. A lot of them are really fast. Charlie Watts is drumming like a maniac on these. So if you want to hear really quick Charlie Watts drumming, go for this album. I Can't Get No Satisfaction ends it. These are all on Apple Music, which is great. I did find the EP there finally. I searched the original and it shows up. If you search just Got Live If You Want It, it shows up, but if you stick EP on it, does not. You can play the actual EP here. I was looking on the website, and you cannot play it there. It is fully available if you're on your phone or your tablet or something. It is there. Now we'll jump to the real meat and potatoes of the review. Aftermath. When it came out over here, there are a version here and there. If I were getting some money, they had country houses, they had fancy cars. Of course, you had the screaming, writing fans and things. Unfortunately, drug use. Brian Jones decides to not really play guitar anymore, to play like dulcimer, marimbas, the sitar, which he had seen George Harrison play. He let him hold his sitar, and he was picking out stuff on it that evening. So, pretty versatile musician was Mr. Brian Jones. Mostly at RCA, I think that was. Now we'll jump into Aftermath. Lots of definitely experimenting, trying different sounds, expanding out their sound quite a bit. And this was the longest album at 53 minutes, 14-track album. So we're going to have to, of course, take 2 songs off. We make it an 11-track album instead. And then we'll get down to our tracks here. Just 1 second here. Also, the first time we don't use any covers. It's all original tunes now by Jagger and Richards. So we'll go with the UK one first, which they're a little different. We start with, on the UK version, Mother's Little Helper, which is an interesting tune. Stupid Girl, which is not a very nice song about women. It's the tune is catchy, but the lyrics are not very nice to women here. There's some women issues at this point. I know it seems like Lady Jane is on this version. That's where it was first appeared for the British. We got it on December's Children, but they get it here. Under My Thumb, which is, I love that marimba on that song. Mono, which is weird. Never heard it in mono before. But that's on this one. I've only ever heard it in stereo. It's interesting to hear that in mono. Don't You Bother Me. Going Home, which is a very long 11-minute track with some sexual innuendo in it and some weird breathing and vocals by Mick Jagger. Almost reminds me of The End by the Doors, out a year later, but it's that kind of trippy, kind of weird kind of song. And then side 2 in the UK, we have Flight 505. Some very psychedelic-y, lots of different instruments happening. Very cool stuff if you want to hear this stuff. It's all in stereo, which is great. There are no mono tracks on this one. High and Dry. And then Out of Time. It's Not Easy. I Am Waiting. And Take It or Leave It. Think is there. What to Do. And then we go to the US one. Oh. The rest of the UK one in ABCA was the stereo version, but it's not on there. I'm sorry, guys. I have played this album. It's mono. I know Wikipedia says it's stereo, but it is not on Apple Music, so they must have used the original for the digital version because there is no stereo. I've never heard that in stereo. It was like a fake stereo one I've heard before. I don't think I've ever heard it in actual stereo. But we go to the our version, and it is very different. We have Paint It Black, which is not on the UK one, only in mono, which is bizarre. I wanted it in stereo, people. So that's the same one that's on that Big Hits Tides and Green Grass thing. High Tides and Green Grass, sorry. So that's what we get first. Then Stupid Girl. Those are, the rest are stereo. But that was not. Lady Jane is also here. Under My Thumb. Oh yeah, that is mono too, that's right. Which is weird. Again, no, I don't know why it's in mono. Don't You Bother Me. And then Think is there. Then we go to side 2, which then has Flight 505, High and Dry, It's Not Easy, I Am Waiting, Going Home because it's so freaking long. They close the album out with that. And that is literally the entire album. So we don't get, which one was that now? We didn't get, hang on, which I thought was an omission. Just a second. I'm getting confused on all my tracks here. We did not get... Yeah, Miller's Little Helper, that was the one. Why we don't get that, I don't know. They probably could have thrown it on there, maybe? I guess because 5 is so long that I guess there wasn't any spot for it. I get not having the other tracks, but that seems a strange omission, but I don't know if they had any room to fit it. And I'm guessing they just didn't feel like trying to fit it on there for whatever reason. It might have fit. I don't know. Perhaps you couldn't fit it. Our personnel, we have, of course, Mick Jagger, lead and backing vocals, percussion, harmonica, Keith Richards, harmony, backing vocals, electric and acoustic guitars, and fuzz bass. Of course, Brian Jones, electric and acoustic guitars, sitar, dulcimer, harmonica, and marimba, and vibraphones, and a kodo. Yeah, played all that stuff. I guess he was having some drug issues, apparently, which I know was bad for him later, but he was definitely having some drug issues of different types. I think they all were doing drugs by this point, unfortunately, in various forms. But Bill Wyman, bass guitar, fuzz bass and organ, and marimba and bells. Charlie Watts is drums, percussion, marimba, and bells, so they all kind of get in on some creativity here. Additional people, we have Jack Nitch, piano and organ and harpsichord and percussion, so he's back doing stuff again. Ian Stewart is still showing piano and organ. And then David Bailey, photography for the U.S. album cover. Dave Hassinger is engineer. Angelo Golden was the production and cover design for the UK version. Jerry Schatzberg, photography. Guy Webster, photography for the UK album. And that is that. So very different albums. Very interesting stuff going on. Lots of cool sounds. Not quite as hard rocking in places, but in others there are. There's some really nice drums recorded. I forget what track I thought I really enjoyed, but there's some really nice drums coming in the stereo parts that sound really pretty good. Really cool stuff. New experimentation. Some more big hits coming along in both versions. Even though we don't get Mother's Little Helper, which is kind of sad. Obviously, hopefully it will show up somewhere. I know it does, but if you could just have those 63 singles on something. Up to this point, we don't. At least the British got Come On their High Tides and Greengrass album. But we don't. But yeah, really cool stuff. Looking ahead, I don't know anything off of the next album. The British one I do, or the British one I don't know anything on. We do add a track that I do know, but that will be interesting because it's all songs I've never heard. But I was just trying to wrap this up here. That is all of 67 or 66 and stuff. Only one album that year besides the live album here, and you had the compilation of greatest hits in both countries. So not as big a year for the Stones, but some other things getting out in other places. So they all even out, I suppose. But some, have one, some have another. So that's just how the albums worked back then. Up to this point, that's how they were structured. So. And we'll move along into 67 next time with... I'll have to look and see how I want to do them, because I know there's 2 in 67. I'll have to look and see how I want to do them, since I will be on vacation for a bit. I was trying to get us out of this period where there's differences in albums, but we'll see how far I get. I'll have to look kind of ahead and see how I want to do it. and how many I want to do, because now at least I only have 2 albums to worry about. We don't have those configurations, I don't think. I will double check though. There may be another US album. I'll have to go and look real quick after this and see what I want to do there. But that is an interesting period. Things are definitely changing, more popularity, way more stuff like cars and houses. I know there were some relationship issues as well as drug issues, unfortunately, that come up when you are in a band like that. And fame is getting to you, and you're getting more money and everything. So, but yeah, some neat sounds. If you want to hear some neat Brian Jones stuff and some other people, I guess they would just find instruments in the studio in between things and start playing them. And, hey, we should use that, and they just did. So, similar to what the Beatles were doing, kind of in a different way. A little bit different form, but it was still kind of a similar situation where they were trying some stuff out and seeing what was working. But yeah, we will do that next time. We'll go into 1967, and I will see you guys in another video.